Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Wake Up with Ray G show presented by Bets TV. It is Thursday, September 23rd, 2021, a brisk 54 degrees out here in Dallas, Texas. You know, we are freezing cold, but happy to be here, happy to wake up with you. What's up to everybody in the comments, everybody watching on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you're streaming from. We appreciate you tapping in. Bruning, what's up, man? Good morning to everybody out there. Jay, good morning to you, brother.
Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. Excited. This is my favorite day, I think, as far as the show sheet goes. We got a nice slate of games we're gonna talk about today. Previewing week 3. I'm pumped for it. We're gonna kick it off with a bang. But some real good news broke yesterday. I don't want to cheer for injuries.
Good news.
Don't want to cheer for injuries. In some cases, and don't want to cheer for injuries in most cases, but. Unfortunately, start off with the sad news. Tua Tagovailoa confirmed he has fractured ribs. I don't think there's a timetable for his return right now. I would suspect he's somewhat week to week. Ray, I'm not sure your thoughts on that. Whether you've played with someone who had fractured ribs. We've seen some guys come out and wear the flak jacket.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means for Tua. Some guys may come back in 3 weeks. Some guys may come back in 6 weeks. We don't know the extent of the fracture. I imagine not all fractures are built equal. So what do you think as far as his prognosis for coming back? What would that look like just kind of in your own football experience? Maybe you don't really know.
It's
hard to say, right?
It's brutal. I mean, I can't imagine from a quarterback position. I played safety corner in college and return kicks and punts, and I had bruised ribs. And it hurt to breathe. Like just to inhale and exhale, it hurt really bad for probably – like, I remember when that happened, I think it was like a solid, 2.5 weeks, it hurt. And then it felt okay. Yeah. But, I played corner, and there was a point where there's this thing that you can wear underneath your pads that's like a flak jacket, but much, less bulkier than what the quarterbacks wear. And I don't know if Tua was wearing that when he got blasted in his side, but if he did, that just shows the type of impact and force that he was hit with in order to – I guess, go through the flak jacket and bruise the ribs. It's not a good feeling, man. So when I heard fractured ribs, I was just like, yikes. And didn't Cam Akers have some kind of bruised rib situation last year and missed a whole bunch of time?
I believe so, yeah. I believe he's out 4 weeks or something like that with his rib injury.
It is. When I heard that, I felt for him because that shit hurts, man, bad. So. Tua's out. Jacoby Brissett is starting. It's hard to really judge how he did versus Buffalo coming in relief of Tua. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is going to mean more rushing opportunities for Myles Gaskin. He's starting to get into that territory where I think a lot of people just want him to be something that he's not. I think he's a good player. I personally think he's a good player, but that means nothing. If the team doesn't value him that way, if the team feels that he's a replaceable running back part and they could rotate Salvon Ahmed and Malcolm Brown in and get the same type of production or run the same type of scheme, that's really all that matters. So I'm starting to get a little concerned about any of my fantasy rosters with Myles Gaskin right now. I think this week is going to be telling what they do when Tua's out. I highly doubt that they are just going to ask Jacoby Brissett to go out there and sling the ball around 40 times a game. This is gonna be the week. We're gonna find out what Miami's offense is sort of going to be geared around while Tua's out. And long term, does this open the window for them to, because Miami still feels that they're probably a playoff contending team. So does this give them the opportunity or the reason to go out and trade for a player like Deshaun Watson? And what's interesting, man, I was talking to some of my patrons last night. Isn't it weird when they keep talking about the Deshaun Watson situation? It's everybody's reporting that Deshaun Watson isn't active. Like when Tyrod Taylor went down, the talk isn't Deshaun Watson's on the commissioner's exempt list. He's facing suspension. It's like it seems to me, at least the way that I'm interpreting the news, is if the Houston Texans activated Deshaun Watson, he could play. Like that, am I looking at this the wrong way? Because that's how all the reports read to me. He's not active. He's not active. It sounds like if he were active, he'd be able to play right now. And if that is the case, it may. I have no insider information. I have no kind of plugged in knowledge. But would that open the door for Miami to try to, if Tua is going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, they can't afford to go 0-3, 0-4 in that division. Would that give Miami more of motivation to go try to trade for Deshaun Watson if he can in fact play right now if he's activated?
So as far as I'm concerned, where I think you're wrong a little bit is that if he was active, I think he would be on the commissioner exempt list.
Okay.
I think it's just an agreement between the Texans and the NFL, because you think about it like this way, from an optical perspective, from a news perspective, as soon as Deshaun Watson goes on the commissioner exempt list, people are going to start asking questions. People are going to start speculating, when's he coming off the exempt list, right? If he's just not active, he's just not active. You know, the NFL doesn't have to talk about the situation. The Texans don't have to talk about it. It's just he's not playing. And you think about it like this too. They can even blame it on him, saying, oh, he doesn't want to play for the organization. He doesn't want to do this. He's holding out, all these various things. They almost can point the blame to him to where the NFL doesn't have to make a decision. The Texans don't have to make a decision. And he's just not active. I don't know. I'm assuming, are they paying him right now? That I think is the one question we don't really know is, I guess we assume he's being paid and they're kind of just hoping this all just goes away. But yeah, to your point, I do think that if he was active, the NFL would have to do something.
Okay.
Because we haven't heard anything from them, but I think they would have to do something if he was to be activated or, you know, like you said, potentially traded, or I think he would have already been traded and already been active and playing for an NFL roster.
That makes sense. I didn't know. You know, I'm just seeing he's not active. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, does that mean if he's active, he could play? But I think that makes a lot of sense that if he were active right now, then he would be on the commissioner's exempt list. I haven't heard that narrative a lot, and everybody's saying, he's getting paid to be on he's getting paid on the active roster right now. He's not on the active roster, so, but other people said he's getting paid right now. So I don't know, neither here nor there. Obviously, I guess they won't trade for him because he'll be suspended. I don't know what the hell is going on, but probably not good for the pass catchers around him. Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki. I have no clue what Jacoby Brissett is. We saw him. What did he play for? Like a season, half a season in his longest extended period of time? I don't know, man. This
and then Fuller coming back too.
Yeah, Fuller's coming back. So this offense, this team, I wouldn't be shocked if they draft a damn quarterback next year. I mean, we see this sunk cost fallacy with a lot of teams now where they're not giving quarterbacks 3-4 years to figure it out. Like they kind of know after a year or two, I either have something or I don't. And you could say whatever you want of, well, if the Bills would have gave up on Josh Allen in 2 years, I mean, maybe, who knows? But it seems like Miami regrets not taking Justin Herbert, because remember, that was part of the narrative as well in 2020 with the Dolphins and Justin Herbert. Then they take Tua. Seems like they probably just want to correct that mistake, a la the Eagles with Justin Jefferson and Jalen Reagor. And then you saw them come back the very next season and like, all right, let's get Devonta Smith. Let's trade back up and get Devonta Smith. But
let's not get too cute.
Yeah, let's not get too cute. But I think the biggest news, and you were alluding to it at the beginning of the show, where we do not wish for injuries. Nobody wants that. Come on, man. Like, that's Bush League stuff. I don't ever wish for an injury at all. But one of them happened, and it opens the door to one of the most anticipated rookie, I think, debuts of this season. I don't think there's any rookie quarterback that has higher anticipation than Justin Fields in Chicago. Chicago has not had a rich history of solid quarterback play, so when they had the opportunity to trade up and grab Justin Fields, who for me, I said was 1A, 1B with Trevor Lawrence in the class. I mean, flip a coin. I would have been good with either. I was, at one point, I was like Justin Fields QB1. But Justin Fields is the starter in this Chicago game versus the Browns this Sunday, so we get to see him. Full week of practice. I talked about it on the Rookie Report. I did not really grade Justin Fields on his performance last week. And to be quite frank, if Allen Robinson caught that 30, 40-yard touchdown pass, his day looks a hell of a lot better. That ball was on the money. A-Rob was probably shocked it got there, so he dropped it. But Justin Fields is on the field this weekend, on the field against Cleveland. Tough defense. Is this on the road or at home? Are they at Cleveland?
I believe it's on the road.
It's on the road, so tough start for him. But this could be the catapult and the springboard to really launch his path. And if I'm not buying this thing where if Andy Dalton is healthy, he's the starter. If Justin Fields comes out and plays well versus Cleveland, and then he turns around and plays well the next game, and then Andy Dalton's ready, I don't think you can pull the reins off the quarterback. We saw Miami kind of doing that with Tua last year. I don't think it did him a service. But what are your thoughts on Justin Fields? How excited are you? I'm really, really excited to see how he does. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I don't think he's just going to be good. I think Mac Jones is going to be a really good quarterback. I do. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think Justin Fields can be a great quarterback in this league for the Chicago Bears offense and for those of us in fantasy football, those of us in dynasty, seasonal leagues. I think Justin Fields is the real deal. Again, not grading him on last week. What are your thoughts with Fields and this entire Bears offense, man?
Oh, I'm excited to see it. Justin Fields has been the prodigal son behind Trevor Lawrence ever since. We talked about it a lot, especially if it wasn't for Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields really would have been like that next big time quarterback, because that's just what he was all through high school, even on his way through the recruiting process, going to Georgia, ultimately ending up at Ohio State because Georgia preferred another quarterback. You're not looking so good on Kirby Smart. But as far as this Bears offense, I'm really excited to see how the pass catchers look. Like you said, Allen Robinson dropped a pass because he didn't think it was going to get there. Justin Fields is going to get those passes there. He's going to deliver on that front. How he looks in his first game, we'll see. He is playing a very tough defense in the Browns defense. But I think, the team's going to rally around him. And I think from the very beginning, we've seen the team rally around him. And I believe it was Cole Kmet yesterday who said they're going to be playing like hell for him out there. I don't think they are really saying that as much about Andy Dalton, not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but they're definitely excited to have Justin Fields out there. They know what he can do. They know his pedigree. They've been watching him in practice, probably lighted up all training camp, all preseason, finally having him in that starting lineup, full week of practice, preparation. I only expect him to get better, but kind of sucks for him. I wish he had a little bit of an easier matchup, but we're going to really see how good he is, because this is not going to be an easy matchup for him. I'm sure he'll have a lot of supporters, though, playing in Cleveland, playing very close to where he played in college. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people rooting for him, but we're going to see how he fares against a really tough Browns defense. And I think that ultimately he'll have a decent performance, but if he even puts up, let's say 250 and 2 tubs, rushes a little bit, that would be spectacular.
He's going to run. He's going to run. There's no doubt about it. So here's the thing in this one, right? I think there are some interesting storylines in this game, because Baker Mayfield so far has been okay, right? Like, he hasn't been great.
Good.
He hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad. That's what I'm saying. He's been pretty good, but he's looking for a mega deal, right? He's looking for a mega deal. You've got a rookie quarterback coming into your house. Baker Mayfield is down Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. He can't lose this game. I don't think he can lose this game. They cannot lose.
Odell might play. Remember, he's getting in full practice this week, but we'll see.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's coming off an ACL. We know historically players coming off of ACL surgery, outside of the biggest genetic freak that we've ever seen in the NFL, Adrian Peterson, who comes off ACL surgery and rushes for 2,000 yards. Most of these players are not full speed week one after returning from ACL surgery. We see it with Saquon Barkley. We saw it with Cooper Kupp a couple of years ago. So I don't care if OBJ is active or not. He's not going to be the OBJ pre-ACL right now. Not in game one. Let's just say not a 100% Odell Beckham Jr., no Jarvis Landry, rookie quarterback coming into your place. Your defense comprised of Myles Garrett, Malik McDowell, Malik Jackson, Malcolm Smith, Mack Wilson, J.O.K., Denzel Ward, Ronnie Harrison, John Johnson, Greg Newsome. They can't lose this game. If Baker loses this game to Justin Fields, I think that will be a big-time blemish on his record. And if Justin Fields can take down this Browns defense in his debut, I'm telling you, this is going to be the catapult for him to, I believe, this is the guy that's going to challenge Mac Jones for Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's Justin Fields. I don't know what Kyle Shenanigans is doing. I honestly have no clue what he's doing. I tweeted something out yesterday that it wouldn't shock me if we saw him and Jimmy Garoppolo both in a split backfield, like Jimmy Garoppolo doing, like trying to trick people out. You motion Ayuk, they fake it to, like, they give it zone read the damn Trey Lance running the ball because they have no running. Kyle Shenanigans, nothing is outside the realm of possibility. I think Justin Fields is the one who really can push, at this point, Mac Jones for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And right now, his odds to win that award are plus 600. Plus 600 for Justin Fields, so 6-1 for Justin Fields. And Mac Jones right now, let's just take a look real quick. I think he's probably still plus 350, so 3.5-1 for Mac Jones to win that award. So double the odds, double the favorite for Mac, but I think Fields, this is a game that can catapult him, and he's got weapons. You got David Montgomery, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, A-Rob. I know we all need our A-Rob shares to make it happen.
Yeah.
Please, good Lord, make it happen. Mayfield is playing for a big contract. That's what I said. He's got to perform well. He cannot let Justin Fields come into his house. And this is the game that you got to do it when your offense is depleted, when you're down stars. We talk about floor-raising quarterbacks. Baker picked his team up, put them on your back, and say, we're going to go get it. I don't care what Justin Fields is. I don't care. We're about to beat down the Bears. We're about to welcome this rookie to the NFL, and I'm going to make my defense happy by forcing Justin Fields to throw the ball. I think that's the game plan. They can't come out there with that conservative shit and think they're going to win versus Chicago, because one thing is for certain, Justin Fields is going to run that ball, bro. He's going to run that ball. So this is a big matchup. I'm excited to see it. Very, very, very bullish on Justin Fields. Anything else in this matchup? We're not really in the matchup, but the narrative.
We talked about. I do want to see a deep bomb to Darnell Mooney, just one. They don't have to complete it, but I do want to see him throw like a 50-yard bomb to Mooney on a post route.
He's Chris Olave, man. He's his Chris. If you're just comparing the Ohio State offense to what he has here, I mean, it's almost identical. You've got the bigger, smoother possession wide receiver, the Garrett Wilson a la, Allen Robinson. And then you've got your deep play threat, your speed guy, the Darnell Mooney to Chris Olave. You got your Jeremy Ruckert at tight end to Cole Kmet. So there are a lot of things that are familiar with him. And then you've got a talented running back. And they run this, you're going to see more of an RPO-style offense where, it's going to help David Montgomery. Yeah. This could be good for the entire Chicago Bears team. So that's the news. And we are going to get into what? The morning run. Let's do it.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, so we've got, what are we going to start with? The Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Los Angeles Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs, big matchup this weekend. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Had a deep conversation about these two in Dynasty last night. We were up to 11 o'clock last night talking, man. Good people, good conversations. KC, are they still favored by 6.5 in this one?
Yeah.
All right, 6.5 favorites, over under 55.5. Woo! Projecting a shootout. Is that the highest over-under total of the week, man?
It's a tie with the Rams and Bucks.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we get the Rams and Bucks. You could get the Chargers on the money line, plus 246. Chiefs, minus 298. What are your thoughts in this one, man? What are your thoughts in this game, Jordan?
This is probably the hardest game for me to figure out right now. We were talking even pre-show. Game script-wise, it projects to be a running game.
Hey, do you want to hear me open this? I like that. Let's see what it sounds like on air.
Ooh!
Could you hear that?
Oh, yeah, you can hear it clear. Ray opening that ice-cold Topo Chico.
I get my powers from the carbonation, so I need to fuel up. I derive my powers from the carbonation in the water. Go ahead.
All right, so if I was picking a line here, I think I would honestly take the Chargers with the plus 6.5. I think it's going to be a close game. But the biggest stat to me and I need to run this by you real quick, but the Chiefs and Chargers are allowing the most yards per carry in the league. Now, with the Chiefs, you can at least say they've played the Browns and they've played the Ravens, and the Ravens, frankly, ran the hell out of the ball. So they're allowing 6 yards to carry. Now, the Chargers, I forget, they played Washington week 1. They got gashed by Antonio Gibson. And then you have them playing against the Dallas Cowboys, getting gashed again. So I don't really understand what's going on with these defenses. I expected a better performance from both of them. But is there a chance that maybe both these teams just decide to run the ball? I don't know, man. It wouldn't make sense. But if both teams are struggling against the run, why wouldn't you just run the ball?
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's a fair point, but no. I mean, they both want to throw the ball. That's why they're not going to run it. They both want to bomb it deep. Like Patrick, I was listening to something. Was it you yesterday? No. I was listening to two of my boys who are about to drop a podcast. They're about to start a podcast. Shout out to Ike and Gene. But they said that over the last, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, maybe it's 2 years, but the Kansas City Chiefs, this has nothing to do with what you're talking about. I'm going off on a tangent. But the Kansas City Chiefs target the running back the fewest amount of times in the NFL. I think 7% of Mahomes' pass attempts go to the running back. So I'm already jumping ahead because you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so he's not even involved in the passing game. But they just want to throw the ball. Like Mahomes wants to throw it deep. He doesn't give a shit who's down there. You heard what he said about Tyreek. Just throw it up. Tyreek is down there somewhere.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just do that, and he does that a lot. I don't think so, man. With this implied total, the over-under 55.5, it's going to be a shootout. Patrick Mahomes over-under 310 passing, 2.5 passing touchdowns. I do like Patrick Mahomes over total this week of 16.5 rushing yards. I think that is
Yeah.
I like that. I like that, especially with Joey Bosa coming off the edge, creating that pressure. Mahomes may have to scramble around. They may trust Mahomes to run the damn ball more than they do Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't know. What do you think about this prop total for Patty?
So this prop is, I wouldn't say it's egregiously low, but based on his splits, it is egregiously low because he averages 45 rushing yards a game against the Chargers. He's played against the Chargers 3 times, and the only time he didn't play against them was last year, Week 17. He just sat on the bench. But he averages 45 rushing yards against the Chargers, which is insanely high for any quarterback, especially for Mahomes, who we don't really view as a rushing quarterback. But against the Chargers, he runs a lot. So I think that if you're going to take the over on his rushing yards. Whereas for his passing stats, they're not as good. He averages 20 for 34, 1.3 touchdowns, 219 passing yards. One of the games he did go over 300. Yeah. So this stems back to his very first game against the Chargers. This is back when Phillip Rivers was still there. He only threw for like 182 yards. Now, again, it's young career. He's much better now, throws the ball more now, even still. Last time he played against Herbert, they both went over 300 yards. And I believe that was 38-24 or something, pretty high scoring game overall. But that's where I just don't really know where this game's going to go. It's going to trend in the direction of both going over. I'm much more inclined to take Herbert's over. It's only 291 yards and 1.5 passing touchdowns. I just like that better. Herbert's thrown for over 330 yards the past 2 weeks, so why wouldn't he do it this week?
I like that.
Whereas Mahomes, everyone thinks they're going to throw. Everyone knows they're going to throw. But what if they decide to just run? Like Dallas ran on them all day long. That's the only problem here is last week it was Dallas and the Chargers shootout in SoFi, and everyone was excited to watch. And the game was 20-14 or something.
Herbert still hit that over though. Herbert still hit that over though.
Yeah, he still threw for 330. He threw for 2 picks, threw for 1 touchdown. So that's the interesting stat about Herbert. He's never hit his 1.5 this season so far, but he's always gone over on his yards. Yeah, so I think he can still go over on the 1.5, and it's pretty good odds if I recall. It's minus 165 to go over 1.5.
You know what, man? I'm impressed with you. Did you go through all of Mahomes' games versus the Chargers and do that math yourself, or did you find that stat? Did you steal that stat?
What I did was I went to FDNdaily.com. I went and checked out the split school, and I filtered it through. So this is from 2019 to 2021. So it's really just 2019, 2020. And I looked up Mahomes' splits. So it's not so much just that Mahomes' splits aren't the best against the Chargers. One, Derwin James is back this year. That is a problem. That's going to be a problem for Mahomes. It could be a problem for Travis Kelce as well. Although Travis Kelce actually has better stats than Tyreek Hill against the Chargers. But so Mahomes, I'm kind of iffy on the yards. Like I want to take the over. I believe he's hit that number both times this season. I'm just iffy on it from a number standpoint. But can we please talk about Clyde? Because the people need to know about Clyde.
Okay, all right, fine. You know what? You've done so good today. I'll let you drive the ship because I was going to say no. I have something to say, but you're right. Let's talk Clyde. Over under 53.5 rushing yards. And I know this seems egregious based on the Twitter just slandering of his name at this point. He's done. He's toast. He's cooked. He's a better version of Devin Singletary. Tyson Williams looks better than him. These are all things said by yours
You
truly.
said that.
I know. These
You're like talking about the masses, but then you bring up something
these are I kept it real. These are all things that people have said. Some people in the industry.
people in quotes.
I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man. I do. I do like Clyde. I really do. I like Clyde. He probably just overvalued from the beginning. But let's talk Clyde. Let's talk Clyde. 53.5. And you make a good point, Jay, because Dallas did run down their throat. I mean, Zeke and Tony Pollard look fantastic running the ball. This could be one of those games where everybody is off of Clyde and then he goes out there and has 100 yards. Would it shock you? Would it shock you?
No, that's the thing. It wouldn't shock me. He fumbled away the game last week. Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost faith in him. You're going to hear that narrative all week long, and we've already heard it a little bit. So what if the Chiefs just decide we still have Joe Thuney, we still have a reworked offensive line that, frankly, has looked pretty good this season? What if they decide just to run the ball? They average 114 yards per game rushing against the Chargers, and that only means that Mahomes can still get his, 30, 40 yards. Clyde can get his 50, 60 yards, and still they can go over, both of them. So it's just like, I don't love it. I don't love the number. It's a little higher than I want. And for everybody who plays DraftKings, Clyde's only 4,800 on DraftKings. Like, you have to find a way to get him into some of your lineups because he's too cheap. But 53.5, I don't mind it. And then to your point about even his history, in his 2 games against the Chargers, I believe he had 30 yards receiving in the one game he did play. So he would still go over that number too, which I believe is only 23.5. But the rushing number to me, 5.6 yards a carry. He basically only needs to get 10 carries. And if he hits the averages that the NFL has hit against the Chargers, he will go over that number. 10 carries. He can do that.
In his career, he's played 15 regular season games. 15.
Oh, no.
And we're not talking playoffs, all right? 15 regular season games. And he has gone over 53 yards 6 times. He's done that 6 times.
Better than I thought.
He's done that 6 times. He's got a lot of 40-yard performances. And then he's only hit he's only gone over 80 yards twice in his career.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But this could be one of those games. It really could. I think the game script, I think what we've seen against the Chargers lately, Antonio Gibson went over 80. Didn't Pollard and Zeke? I think Zeke went over 80. Pollard went over 100.
Zeke had like 70. But the point is, the story that you're painting, it makes sense. Now, I would say this. If there was a prop for Kansas City's running back, do you think we see more Jerick McKinnon? I don't know what's going to happen, man. Maybe they're not as concerned about Clyde as us. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're like, it was his first career fumble. Like, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he's Ronald Jones and fumbling games away left and right. That was his first career fumble. It happened at the worst possible moment because it probably did cost them the game. I mean, he's probably still starting and getting 15 touches, right? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's let the people decide on that one. I don't know. Like, I truly don't. I don't know, man. They allow a lot of yards. They allow a lot of yards rushing. Tyreek Hill over 80.5, over 6.5 receptions. Travis Kelce 89.5 receiving yards, 7.5 receptions. Tyreek Hill was in witness protection last week. We saw nothing from him. Kelce did his thing. That's a lot of catches. 7.5 for Kelce is a lot. And, like we said, Derwin James there, Asante Samuel Jr., a solid young cornerback. I don't think he's going to be able to hold Tyreek down, but I think Baltimore had a good game plan, like take one of them away. And they decided to take Tyreek Hill away. And outside of Kelce going nuts on that touchdown run and catch, they did a good job. They had a good game plan against the Chiefs offense. Like, Kelce and Hill did not beat them. You know what I mean? They lost the game, but they did not beat them. So it'd be interesting to see what the Chargers do in order to contain those two and which one are they going to pick. Like, we'll let Kelce death by 1,000 cuts get us, but we're not going to let Tyreek Hill bombs over Baghdad. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So interesting there. Let's talk a little Herbert. You already touched on it. 291 passing yards is the over. Stone for over 330 every game. 1.5 passing touchdowns. I like both of those numbers this week. my thing with the Chiefs is I'm never going to bet the under on Mahomes. I'm just not going to bet it. Like, I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have enough confidence to say there's no way he can hit 310 passing yards. If I don't feel he'll get there, I just won't bet it. Like, I'm just not going to bet the under on Mahomes. Austin Eckler, 54.5 rushing yards, 37.5 receiving yards. Love the receiving yard prop. I would smash that.
Yeah.
Like, right now, I'm in on Austin Eckler's receiving yard props, not in on the rushing yards. I'd probably leave the receptions alone, but I'm in on the receiving yards. And then we've got big Mike Williams, right? Mike Williams playing for a contract over under 66.5 yards, minus 114 price on that. He's averaging 11 targets, 7.5 receptions, and 86 yards on the season, pacing all above the numbers, pacing above all these numbers on average for the season. Like Mike Williams is balling right now. Mike Williams is balling, right?
Yeah, he's a way better target betting-wise than Keenan Allen. Like, Keenan Allen's number. So, for instance, Mike Williams' numbers are 66.5, like you mentioned, and 5.5 receptions. And bettors are already juicing it to the over. They think he's going to be at 6 or 7. But like you mentioned, 7.5 receptions so far on the year. And the crazy thing about Mike Williams, more than anything else, is that he's averaging a career low yards per reception. Usually he's up in the around 15-ish range. But right now, I think he's sitting at like 10 or 12 yards per reception, which is just crazy. But again, it's a change of philosophy, different head coach, different entire offensive philosophy, but he's thriving in this role. So if you're going to tell me I can take Mike Williams over at 66.5 instead of taking Keenan Allen's over at 80.5, that's easy money to me. While I think that Keenan has the higher ceiling, I think that they both have similar upside potential, and you're getting basically 15 yards of juice to draft a player who's been, or to bet a player who's been doing very similar to what Keenan Allen's been doing. And he's not going to see top coverage.
He's been just as impressive of a receiver as Keenan Allen, honestly. Like, I know we liked it. Keenan Allen is the better receiver, and I think we all agree. But production-wise, Mike Williams is balling at the beginning of the year. So I like his over the receiving yards. I like that a lot, Jay. Keenan Allen, 80.5, 6.5 receptions. I mean, probably will. I don't feel
it's very close, because I think last week he only had 4 or 5 last week, but last week
4,
his number was also 7.5.
Yeah, and he had 100 yards though, so he beat his yardage total. He just couldn't. And Mike Williams' day would have been a lot better had that 40-yard completion stud. That rifle from just like he seems like he's a real focal point in this offense. Mike Williams is playing for a contract. He's looking like the Clemson version of Mike Williams that we saw. He's looking really, really talented. So let's move on to the next game. We have the New Orleans Saints and the New England Patriots, and we will be brief because you think this is the ugliest game, right?
Yeah, it's one that I just don't want to go near, and the main reason why, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, man, they are two of the smartest coaches in the NFL. They pick each other's brains like crazy. They're both going to put together great defensive plans. Like, I don't want to touch Alvin Kamara. I don't really want to play him this week. In fantasy, you got to play him. He's just too good to bench. But as far as props go, like, I just don't know what to expect from a game plan perspective. Are they going to run? Are they going to pass? Like, Mac Jones' over-under is like 236 yards. Again, Pats are favored by 3 points, over-under 41.5, which is already super low. But I'm tempted to still take the under because it could be a game that's just like 17-10, 17-13. I just see a massive defensive matchup. And if there's one coach that I don't want to play against as a rookie quarterback, it's probably Sean Payton, because Sean Payton learns a lot from Bill Belichick. They've been, going back and forth, joint practices for years. There's just a lot of chemistry between the two. But that familiarity is not going to be good for either side. They're both going to put together excellent defensive schemes. I'm just worried for everyone involved. This game could just be ugly, a lot of running, a lot of defense.
I'll tell you what
fun to watch.
I'll tell you what prop I like is Damian Harris first touchdown scorer plus 550, 5.5 to 1 for Damian Harris as the first touchdown scorer. I kind of like that. I'm looking at Mac Jones yardage totals. It's 236. I mean, New Orleans is tough. Is Lattimore playing?
I don't think we've heard about Lattimore yet. But yeah, if even if Lattimore does play, it makes things worse. And the big thing for me is that Mac doesn't look very good right now. And last game he didn't look very good. He only put up 24 points in a game where he saw a lot of short fields because that defense was turning over Zach Wilson like crazy. And you mentioned as well, the offense wasn't really clicking for some reason. Kind of hard to say. Maybe Solid's had a great defensive plan. I thought the Jets played better than people gave them credit for. New Orleans going to play a lot better than people are expecting. And Mac is not going to have the same time he's had back there.
What do we make of Alvin Kamara's start this season? It hasn't been very good. I mean,
it's been up and down, right? But I mean, the first
only
week
2 games, so it could be up and down. It hasn't really been up and
no,
down.
the first week was encouraging, right? Because he still had like 23 or 24 carries. He had a heavy carry load, which was good to see. It's the receptions we're not seeing that's scary.
Up,
but I mean,
man?
to the point, the league leading defense of the Carolina Panthers shut him down. No surprise.
Dude, he only had 8 carries, 5 yards is egregious, man. Like,
yeah. That's how bad they were last week. But to your point, and like I've been saying, the Carolina defense is really that good. Like, the Saints couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything against the Panthers.
Jameis Winston was a top 5 graded quarterback in week 1 and then the bottom ranked quarterback in week 2. It's just crazy.
And
man.
he led the team in rushing yesterday against the Panthers too.
Let's see if Jameis Winston has a rushing yard prop because he might hit that. Let's look. Jameis. Let's go. Winston. Let's see if he's got a rushing. All right, here we go. Jameis Winston rushing yards. 13.5. Minus 115.
Seems high. He might hit it, but it seems high.
Yeah, I don't know. Interceptions thrown. 1 pick.
Is it 1.5?
It's 0.5. It's a half for minus
200. Oh my God, that's
they're not.
He probably
even
will, but it's not great odds.
It's not even worth betting, right? It's not even worth betting. Not even worth.
What if you want to
go
go after his completions at 18.5?
I'm not doing it. I'm leaving it alone. Let's go to what are we going? Let's go to Atlanta and the Giants. Atlanta, New York Giants. The Giants had a nice break after the Thursday night game in which they took an L to the football team, but now they've got the Falcons, and the Falcons have not looked good so far. And a lot of people are expecting the Giants to win this one and the Giants to play well. I know there's a lot of enthusiasm and hype for Saquon Barkley coming off of the extra days of rest. We saw some of his burst last week versus the football team. So let's talk. Let's start with Saquon. Let's start with Saquon Barkley. And you pulled this prop. You like this, right?
Yes. I have to like this prop. I'm contractually obligated by the fantasy community to like Saquon Barkley this week. But the thing is with Saquon is...
So the prop is, for those of y'all who might be listening and not watching, it's Saquon Barkley's longest rush over 15.5.
15.5 yards. Come on. Saquon Barkley can rip off 80 yards if he wants to. The biggest thing for me is that I don't necessarily trust his game-long rushing yards of 61.5. Fine number, not extremely high. He can easily beat it. But a longest rush of 15.5 for basically the same odds to me is just way more worth it. We saw last week he ripped off a 41-yard run, and he still didn't hit his rushing prop because he kept getting negative yards and plays in the backfield. So I just have more trust in this over 15.5 than I do him to hit the 61.5. But maybe, just maybe, he does have a 20.5 yard for his receiving yards. But for me, it's the rushing, longest rush. Just break one rush off, 15.5 yards. Barkley, you can do it. I believe in you. Just 15.5. What do you think, Ray? Can he do this?
Yeah. This is an easy one. I'm taking that, man. I mean, 15.5 yards, he could do that. What's Atlanta's defensive ranking this season? It's probably pretty damn low, right? I mean,
it's probably pretty bad.
Saquon didn't hit it, but it was versus the football team. Say what you want. That defense is objectively better than the Atlanta Falcons defense. I'm taking the over on Saquon Barkley. Over 61.5 rushing yards, over 15.5 for his long yard. I like Daniel Jones over under his rushing yard prop at 27.5. They're starting to use him a lot, not in the RPO game, but in the zone read game. Two differences. RPO, zone read different. Zone read, run. QB hand off to the running back or pull it and run. RPO, the quarterback has the option to hand to the running back, run the ball himself, or throw the pass. It looks like they're running straight zone read. Watch the outside linebacker, watch the DN. If they crash down, Daniel Jones, you pull it and you run. It's got the speed and the athleticism to pick up yards. I mean, his yardage prop is damn near half of Saquon Barkley. Like, they're expecting him to rush for half as many yards as Saquon Barkley. I like both of them. I think this is one game. I am going to exploit the Falcons every single week. Every single week, whoever the Falcons play, I'm looking at props from that game. I know Deion Jones is there, but other than that, that defense doesn't scare me. I want Danny Dimes. I want Saquon Barkley. Do you want Sterling Shepard at 62.5 receiving yards and 5.5 receptions?
I think I do. I didn't love the yardage because, sometimes Sterling Shepard will get the receptions, but he'll just kind of get them through dink and dunk, third down conversions. But we saw against Washington, he was going down the field a bit more. He was converting some longer downs. He was making some bigger plays. So I think I do like the number still. 62.5 is a little bit more than I was hoping for, but he's, I think, put back basically 90 yards in back-to-back games. So from that standpoint, when you think about it, it should be more than doable against an Atlanta defense that is, I think it's the worst in the league. And I was just looking it up. They're actually dead last in DVOA. So that's just a defensive metric telling you that they are not good, whether it's against the run, against the pass. We saw it with Jalen Hurts week 1. We saw it with Tampa Bay week 2. I don't think Danny Dimes is going to have any problems shredding this defense.
Yeah.
While I don't love the passing yard prop, I believe it was over 260. I think that Sterling Shepard's still his top target. If you want to go after Kenny Golladay, he's only 51.5 receiving yards.
Yep.
So I don't mind that number. But the bigger number for me is 3.5 receptions. I think he can easily do that.
Yeah, the squeaky
but
wheel
Sterling
gets the
Shepard is
grease.
gonna be good.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease. He's yelling at Daniel Jones. He's yelling in Daniel Jones's vicinity, so Daniel Jones can hear what he's yelling about. You know what I mean? Hold on, the carbonation has me about to burp.
He said he was actually yelling at Jason Garrett, but he was certainly yelling in the direction of
And
Daniel
what was
Jones.
what was he yelling about? Throw me the damn ball is what he's yelling
Probably
about.
get me the damn ball.
He's not yelling about I want to block
wide
more.
Open, of course.
Run to my side. No, he wants the pass. He wants the passes. Yeah, 3.5 for. I want the Giants. I think the Giants are a good play, bet wise and in fantasy. And Stone, you notice that Saquon was hesitant to jump cut while in the hole. Yeah, I mean, he's still trying to come back off the ACL, man. It takes a minute to get fully healthy. I think anytime in life you suffered any kind of traumatic experience, right, that, debilitates you to a certain degree, whether that's tearing your ACL, catching COVID, you breaking your leg, getting in a car accident. I think it takes some time for you to feel confident in whatever that activity was that put you in a situation where you were debilitated for a little bit. So NFL players are no exception. As freak athletes as they are, as big of physical specimens as they are, it still takes time to overcome that mental hurdle, that mental barrier of I'm okay. My body is okay. I can do those things. You see that with Joe Burrow right now, hesitant in the pocket. Dak Prescott doesn't even run anymore. Dak was always running last year. They get to the goal line, they let Dak run the ball. He's scrambling. It just takes some time. So with me, this is to be expected of Saquon Barkley, and for the entire 2021 season, as good as he looks at whatever his high point of this season is, I believe that next year we're going to see a better version of Saquon Barkley. He gets through the season healthy, gets the offseason, can really train to play, not train to recover.
Not trained to be healthy,
Not trained to recover. Exactly. He was training to get healthy. Next offseason, he'll be training to play. So I don't think we'll see the best version of Saquon this year, which can still be really good. But I think what we're going to see from Saquon next year is going to be a hell of a lot better than what we saw this year. Is there anything else on this slate? No, we're done with this one. We got the new graphic now. Cowboys fans understand frustration.
You're not even going to talk about Calvin Ridley?
Oh, what's Ridley?
You don't want Calvin Ridley?
My bad. What's Ridley?
Ridley's 81.5 receiving yards and 6.5 receptions. Matt Ryan, 2.
I forgot the Falcons had an offense. I forgot they had an offense.
They got a couple guys.
You
know what I was looking for that made me so mad? I was looking for Cordero Patterson numbers, and I couldn't find them anywhere. No rushing yard totals, no receiving yards, but more importantly, I need that touchdown number.
Yeah.
Plus 300 for Cordero Patterson. Give me that.
Kyle Pitts, 4.5 over under receptions, 52.5 yards for Kyle Pitts. Long reception, 20.5. Wouldn't touch that. I like the receptions over 4.5. If the Giants are going to put up points, Kyle Pitts is going to have to catch the ball. Calvin Ridley, I don't know.
Come on, you just saw McLaurin smoke them. What's Ridley going to do?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's my case, right?
True.
We saw what McLaurin did.
That's true.
Ridley's gonna do it. As long as, because there was that one play from the Tampa game where Ridley runs an out route and Matt Ryan must have thrown it like 10 yards
yeah.
over his head.
Yeah.
And Ridley's just like,
Ridley was
he
like, come on, bro.
pissed.
Come on, bro.
He's like, what are you doing? That was so funny. But yeah, I like Ridley's over, especially on the yardage. The reception's kind of a maybe, but I like the yardage more. So if you want to transition to the next big game, Tampa
Where we
Bay and the
going?
Rams.
Are we going
Tampa
Tampa
Bay and the
Bay, or
Rams.
did you want to go Cincinnati, or you want to go Tampa Bay Rams, or you want to go Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Jacksonville? Which one you want to do? I don't even see Tampa Bay on here. Oh, there
We
they
could
are.
preview them. We can preview them if you want, but there's no props for those games right now. I don't know why. If there's concerns, like there's Jacksonville props, there's not Arizona props, so we can't really talk about Kyler really. If you want to preview the Denver and the Jets game, like there's no props for it, but I mean,
Well,
I'm taking the over on Cortland
let's-
Sutton and Zach.
Well,
Wilson's
let's
gonna
wait
get
then, because I
slaughtered.
want the props, man. But so this gives me an opportunity to talk about something that I wanted. So this Monday night, we get the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys and Eagles play.
Yes, sir.
And there's a lot of talk right now about Tony Pollard being the RB1 in Dallas. He's the better.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's a better running
need
back
the
than
scoop.
Ezekiel Elliott. He's a better running back. That's what the people are telling me. And I have been adamantly saying stop. So the show that I was telling you about, my boys Ike and Gene, they're going to start a new Dynasty show. They dropped a stat that over Zeke's career. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Let me pull Zeke Elliott stats, right? Zeke Elliott stats, because I want to make sure this was over his career and
You
not
gotta
just,
vet their stats.
I got to make sure that these dudes aren't just throwing out blasphemous shit here. Okay, I think it was over the last 3 years. That makes sense. I think it's like the past 3 years. Maybe it was 2 years. Maybe it's 3. Past 3 years. It wasn't his career, because his career, he's got 1,400 carries, which seems crazy. But over the past 3 years, Zeke's got like 580-something carries. And Tony, it had to be 3 years, because it's when Tony Pollard was there.
Since he got drafted.
Since he got drafted. Tony Pollard in that same time, I think Tony Pollard has, let me see. I can look this up real quick. Tony Pollard stats. I think it's like 200. Yeah, 203. So from the time Tony Pollard was drafted, he's got 203 carries. Zeke has got like 580 something. Tony Pollard has 10 runs of 20 yards or more. Zeke Elliott only has 7 rushes over 20 plus yards in that same time frame in less than a third of the carries. He's explosive. Like, that's what Tony Pollard is. He was explosive at Memphis. He's been explosive in the NFL. And we were looking it up last night, and somebody was like, no, dude, Zeke's, we were talking with the patrons. We were talking about Zeke. No, Zeke rips off long runs. He rips off long runs. Do you know what Zeke's longest career? This blew my
His
mind.
longest career run.
Do you know what Zeke's longest career run is?
Based on this conversation, I'll say about 53 yards.
Okay, you're really close. His career long run is 60 yards, okay?
Okay.
But for his career, hold on. This really, when I looked this up, I was like, wow, man. Let me get his overview for his career. All right, here goes Zeke's long runs from his career. Rookie year, 60 yards. Got it? Long.
Yeah.
That's a good run.
Oh, wow. Fresh.
60 yards. Fresh. Year 2, long run, 30 yards. Year 3, longest run.
God.
Longest run, 41 yards. 4th year, longest run, 33 yards. 5th year, longest run, 31 yards. And this year, his longest run, 19 yards. Okay? So he's averaging his because people were like, in my mind, I'm seeing Ohio State Zeke ripping off 80-yarders. I was like, I guarantee you, if somebody can pull a stat of runs between 7 and 14 yards, Zeke Elliott probably leads the league. Like, all his runs are like 7 to 11 yard runs. Now, just for comparison, remember, Zeke, this is his 6th season. He's averaging his long run is probably like 37 yards in his 6-year career. Do you want to hear what Derrick Henry's longest runs of his careers are?
Oh, man. They're probably all in the 90s.
They're listen to this.
All in the 90s.
Listen to this. Same draft class. So, rookie year, Zeke got him. Derrick Henry, 22 yards was his longest run.
Yeah,
75 yards. 75 yards in year 2, 99 yards in year 3, 74 yards in year 4, 94 yards in year 5. In this season, in 2 games, he already has a 60-yard run. And I know longest rushed is not some predictive stat. I'm not trying to say this. I was like, damn, Zeke really isn't explosive. He's a grinder. He's a
doesn't have
high
the long
volume.
speed.
He does have the long speed. I think he dropped a 4.4. He's faster than Derrick Henry.
But okay, but that's
just
40. Clearly, he can't make it very, very much further than the 40. When he gets to if it was to the 50, Derrick Henry would probably catch him and run right by him.
So you're saying
there's some athletes that do just enough to get drafted. Like, you just practice sprinting 40 yards. Heaven forbid you practice sprinting 50 or 60 yards. Zeke's one of those guys, maybe all he did was practice the 40, and so he can only run 40 yards.
87th percentile 40-yard dash score, 4.47. That's probably and that's legit. 95th percentile speed score. Now, Derrick Henry is a 97th percentile.
Speed score, yeah.
He's 97th percentile. But the point is, so are you telling me once Zeke hits 40 yards, the acceleration
I would love a stat on that. I would just love to see where his top speed goes from 40 yards and beyond.
Well,
he's 3 or 4 instances of that.
He hasn't even
but
gotten
Derrick
there.
Henry, you see him get faster and faster and faster and faster.
Hold on. But dude, think about
further
this.
He goes.
It's just mind blowing. Think about this, man. We're talking about his 40-yard time. He's only hit a 40-yard run once in his career. One time. Well, maybe in his rookie season he hit it multiple times, but 60 was
multiple times. Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with the narrative is always better than the truth. The narrative, never forget that. You got to stick to the narrative. The narrative over the truth. I'm gonna say he's only hit 40 yards once. It just blows my mind that when I just think about how good Ezekiel Elliott has been in the league, and I'm not listen. I'm not taking away from how good he's been. 1,600 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,357. But Zeke is a grinder, man. He can catch the ball, but
yeah,
no, man. So
where do you end on this? Because we went back and forth about Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott, but where are you at on the fence? You're part of the Dallas media now. You are in Dallas. Well, you're close to Dallas. Not in Dallas anymore, but you're close. So what is your take? Give me your 2-minute spiel or 1-minute spiel. Who's better? Why are they better? Should Pollard be starting? And how do you feel about this whole situation?
Zeke is still the starting running back, man. Zeke is still, I think what he does well. He's a physical running back that can move the chains, that you can give the ball to. He's going to move the chains. He's going to grind out yards. He's going to get you those tough yards. I think it's a Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt situation. I think what's happened is, I'm not going to sit here and say Tony Pollard is going to get 20 carries in a game. He's not going to get 15 carries every week. But what he's going to do is he's going to be on the field. You can't take him off of the field. And I think with Michael Gallup not being there right now, that makes Tony Pollard even more valuable because he's so dynamic in the passing game. I just think we're going to see a lot more Tony Pollard. And there's going to be instances where you have Ezekiel Elliott and he's not on the field. He's on the bench, or they've already worked both of those guys in the backfield at the same time. If you remember the Tampa Bay game, there was one point in time where they put Zeke at fullback. It was like 4th and 1. They put Zeke at fullback, had Tony Pollard at tailback, handed it to Zeke to grind out the tough yards. I'm still on the side of, I believe at the end of the season, Ezekiel Elliott has more carries than Tony Pollard, more rushing yards than Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard's efficiency and how good he looks, I think he's working his way into a nice 1B running back contract. I think that's what Tony Pollard is working his way to. I don't know if Tony Pollard is a full workload running back week in and week out. And
do you think he could be Austin Eckler?
I don't know if you want him to be Ezekiel Elliott. I think you want him to be Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara. I think that's what you want him to be. I think that's when Tony Pollard is at his best. When he's coming in, when Zeke has already smashed the linebackers in the mouth a couple of times, they're dropping down for the run, and then you get this explosive athlete out there, and let him do his thing. I think that is how he's gonna operate, how Mike McCarthy's probably gonna use him. And for fantasy football purposes, I think Tony Pollard is getting close to a weekly start. I think you've got to. I think you probably have to start him every week, at least in a flex spot. And if you're a 0 RB kind of guy and you got Tony Pollard as your RB2
you're flexing
later,
right now.
you're feeling good because you're probably loaded at receiver, even though the top 10 receivers in fantasy football right now, nobody would have predicted it's Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Adam Thielen. Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen. No one would have predicted. Yeah, Tyler Lockett. But I think that's my take on the Pollard-Zeke situation. I don't think Tony Pollard is a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott. He offers a different skill set that fits that team to a T, and he can't come off of the field. Tony Pollard can't come off of the field. I just was looking that up, and it was just interesting to me because Zeke has not been explosive. I mean, 30-yard runs is what you're getting out of him at his best in a season. And a lot of people look at Derrick Henry, and you see this is how conditioned we've been to his greatness. Anybody else rips off a 60-yarder, you lose your mind. Derrick Henry at 6'3", 250 rips off a 60-yarder where he outruns an angle from a defensive back, and you're just like,
that's what he does.
Yeah, 60-yard run. Like every week you throw Derrick Henry out there, an 80-yard run is not an anomaly. That is within the range of plausible outcomes. And even if he gets an 80-yard run, it's still like 7th in his career list of long runs. It's just like,
well, you think about it like this, right? Whenever he plays Jacksonville, everyone tunes in because he's bound to rip off a 90-yard run that game. That's why everyone tunes into those games, even though they're going to be blowouts.
Everyone said 30-yard run isn't even breaking past the secondary. I mean,
he gets too deep safety and Zeke gets to the secondary.
It's
pretty close.
If they're
25 yards.
If they're too deep, it's probably close. He gets there and gets tackled. I still think he's a good running back. I think the way that McCarthy used those two, running backs and Dak Prescott, should be the formula moving forward. They need to run the ball a lot. Let Dak Prescott get the ball to CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz, and let Tony Pollard and Zeke do their thing. I think it was a perfect formula. Just the expectations that we have for Zeke in fantasy as an RB1 is a league leader in rushing yards. I think those days are done. I don't think Zeke Elliott will ever lead the league in rushing again. I don't think he'll ever hit 1,400 rushing yards again. I think that's done. As long as Tony Pollard is there, he's not going to get 320 carries because there's no need. You've got another explosive running back who brings a different dimension to that offense. That's my long-winded diatribe about the Dallas Cowboys backfield: Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, and Tony Pollard. Jay, appreciate you, man. Good show today, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ray. It was a good time talking Cowboys. Got through a few of these games.
Was I unbiased? I was unbiased, right? That was an unbiased opinion.
You were a bit of a coward because you could have just said that Tony Pollard's a better running back, but you don't think he's going to start, which is probably the real answer here. If we're being honest, just be honest with the people. Tell them the truth.
Appreciate y'all tapping in. Subscribe to the channel. Stay tapped in. What's today? Thursday. Davis Mills versus Christian McCaffrey tonight. Y'all have a good one. I hope you win some money, prize picks, whatever your player prop bets are. Y'all have a great day. Make it great. Don't just exist today. Live, baby, every day. Live it to the fullest. Make it great. We'll be back tomorrow. Wake up with us, man. We out. Peace.